have you heard it said that deacons are like duct tape?
No, I've never heard it said that deacons are like duct tape.
I've heard it said deacons are like duct tape, but what holds us together? What's that sticky part? What binds us? Because I tell you what, it's not. We're not an affinity group. We're not related to a gender,
right,
or race,
right,
or a culture. We're not related to an area, suburban, urban, country, town. What does keep deacons together? What holds us tight?
I think the thing that keeps us together is that we have a common calling to be a bridge between the church and the world, and to love God's people in both of those places, and to connect them so that we can inform what we're doing.
To bridge the church and the world with things like justice.
It's essential.
Compassion.
It's our calling. Absolutely.
And mercy.
Yes. Meanwhile, modeling that through word and service.
Joe, you and I are privileged to be lifted up as the Deacons of the North Texas Conference to be in support of legislation that's coming before General Conference and hopefully play some kind of role in General and Jurisdictional Conference. And I know that we're both deeply honored by that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So to connect that church in the world, to be Christ in the world in terms of compassion and justice and mercy, and to show Christ.
When I left General Conference in 2016, I was struck by this was not the church that I grew up in. And as a young person who has over a decade of experience in a variety of contexts, I feel like I got a perspective that's based in reality, but also in the hopeful resurrection love that God is calling us to bring. God's doing a new thing in our midst, and I want to be a part of it.
That God has given me a passion now about ordination, and it's more than my own experience. It's more than being a mentor. It's more than watching my daughter go through the process. Right. Combine all that with being on the board. I just feel like God has really given me a passion for how we call people, or we recognize people calling, how we attract young people into the church, and given me such a passion for the process and how we help people realize their calling. And I combine that with such a keen interest in the conversation about central conferences and how autonomy may really shape in a huge way how we do ministry in the States. So Joe and I, Joe Stobaugh and Tim Morrison, we've been lifted up by the deacons of your conference. And we just ask that you prayerfully consider, which we know you do, who are you going to send? Who's going to bring to that table a round balance that's going to help us bridge that duct tape connection of the church and the world? Right. And Jill and I would just humbly covet your prayers and your discernment process because we feel prayerfully and convicted that this is a calling that God's laid upon us to not just bless the churches where we serve and the people we love and our families,
entire connection,
but how God may bless us in a greater sense in terms of the church, and be a witness in that odd way. So we would just covet your prayers.
Indeed, it'd be an honor to serve.